At 7 a.m., 3 p.m., and 10 p.m. Watch live on the SVP TV channel, Roku, Fire, and Apple TV. Download the SVP TV app today.
All right. Great afternoon. God's afternoon. This is Dr. SUNI. I'm the founder and director of New Life Wellness Institute. It is an institute to teach healthy living, and also we have services and products that we market. But today we're going to talk about energy. Energy. As a matter of fact, I was just told, give a little energy. Have some little, And so there's so many things going on. People have lost their energy with the underlying conditions that most people in this country have, and then with the whole issue of a pandemic and a virus that tends to be mutating into different things, people's energy levels are low. And so me being a functional medicine practitioner, I have certifications in many, many areas. Iridology, which is the reading of the iris, energy. I'm a massage therapist, energy, moving the limbs, moving and compressing muscles so you can get the acid out, moving energy, you name it. I work with young people. I do brain science education so that they can understand the connection between the brain and the rest of the body and what it takes in order for them to continue to be in harmonious connection with each other. All kinds of energy modalities is what I have been doing for some years, and basically giving individuals, and through my classes or whatever, classes to teach you about yourself. Most people that come for my services don't understand the workings of the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual body. And we're all four of them. I've been in ministry since 1988. I've actually started studying in the early 80s. Got my certificate in ordination in 1988 through the Life Center Church of, Life Center Church of Universal Word. It's now the Life Center Church of God in Christ. It's the Life Center Church, okay? And I've been studying energy medicine. Dr. Benson, who was our energy partner, introduced us to several techniques, body talk. We learned about being able to tap, learned the muscle testing. And as I started studying that and started seeing how you can shift and move energy and build it up, we start seeing people have great results with getting the nutrients into the body properly, moving water. We are 65, 70% water. Most people are holding the water because the energy isn't there to move it. Every lake, ocean, river, pond, basement, if you got a flood, water moves. What makes water move? Current. This is energy. It's current. You don't see it, but the water is moving. It is an invisible force. Wind. Can you see it? The trees bend, leaves go back and forth. Your hat might come off, depending on the velocity of the wind or whatever. That's all energy. And so we have been introduced to several devices in our energy practices, and now that we're into a universal frequency of oh my goodness, what's the name of it, Brother Malik? Harmonic conversion or something like that, where there's been a shift in the universe, the shift in the galaxies since 1984, which is bringing strong, powerful, positive energy to the earth. And so when you start doing stuff like that, all the negative and mud, and just like if you start cleaning out a pipe and you're looking for the what's clogging it up, and you start running stuff, and then eventually you're going to hit pay dirt, and then all the gook comes up. This is what's going on the earth. All the gook, all the hidden negativities of the earth is being exposed. And now we are saying, raise the frequencies of your body. Understand quantum physics. They don't teach a lot of this. I've been a school teacher since 1977. I started in the ministry, actually studying in the 70s, but I didn't get licensed until the late 80s. But I'm a continuous one who learns. If you're teaching, you got to learn. You cannot teach nothing you don't learn. And so started seeing that when quantum energy came in, we was a metaphysician, beyond the physical. But now there's another frequency out here, and there are other modalities, biomodulators, as they call them, that have come to the surface, been around for some time, that is helping people to raise their quantum energy in their bodies and creating voltage so the body can do what it does, what the Creator dictated it to do, heal itself. But you have to give it tools. You have to stir up the gift from within. What is that? So you start to connect all of the dots between your physical body, your mental, your emotional, as well as your spiritual aspect of who you are. And then it blends and things begin to change. That's called self-care. So Dr. Vincent, I introduced to a device that we're going to feature in a few minutes that also raises the frequencies. I have several other devices that give like it gives us a reading on where we are energetically in the body without having to take a shot, take a blood test, even though I'm with an organization, it's called Ford, I think. And they, I keep up with my numbers. I go and, to see where I am. And I was surprised that a lot of my numbers were okay. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm not doing so bad. I don't do everything right, but I don't do a whole lot wrong. Right? And so it makes a difference. And so we are featuring this device called the iTerra Care. It is a device that has lots of frequencies that come through some what they call crystal quartz. We all know that the Creator has put everything on the earth for us to utilize. We have forgotten that, and so we're kind of like talking right and walking left. I got that from Les Brown. He came to our church some years ago, and he said, a lot of times we're talking right, but we walking left. And so we began to bring people back to the center so that they understand the resources that the Creator put in the earth, in the trees, in the plant life, in the water, to create enough vibrational energy so that your inner body, your cells, 50 to 100 trillion of them, can have voltage. And when they have voltage, they begin to stay healthy. And I'm going to mention this about, I'm studying with Bruce Lipton. Bruce Lipton was a medical teacher. He taught medical doctors, I think it was Stanford, how to be a doctor. And he said he had an awakening. And I don't remember, because I bought several of his books and I was on the platform with him down in Sarasota, Florida with the Body Talk people. And he said that he started understanding that we have kind of gotten away from moving energy and putting energy back in, especially with water. Water is a very strong energy force. Have a flood. Let a dam break. You see what I'm saying? The force of the water can move you from here. Jump in the lake and it's a current down there. It will move you from where you fell in to miles and miles away from where you fell in, because it has energy and it can move with force. Inside of our bodies, we should have a number of quarts of water in us to move what? Toxicity, but also to move the nutrients. So water, blood plasma is almost 65% water. The rest is red blood cells. And then also a few other elements that's carrying the nutrients to areas along with oxygen because of the water movement. No water, no movement. No movement, things become clogged.
Hi, my name is Dr. Michael Vincent. I'm here to discuss the true epidemic in the black church, which is diabetes and obesity. What I'm finding in my practice, the patients I'm seeing with diabetes is loss of eyesight, blindness, loss of limb, a leg or foot, amputation, erectile dysfunction, hypertension, kidney failure, heart attack and stroke. And diabetes has a friend. It's called obesity and a cousin called hypertension. This is the true epidemic in the black church. I teach my students the sickest place on Sunday at 12 noon is the black church. The diabetes, the hypertension, the obesity. I'm here to bring to you some good news. We got something called seed nutrition. Seed nutrition. Go back to the seed. I teach a course called Therapy Systems. something I created. It talks about that the seed of disease, the seed of diabetes, is lack of sweetness ancestrally. That diabetes is 87% thought and 13% nutrition. You will learn as you watch us, people who are diabetic for 6.5 years, taking blood sugar 400 to 600, 6.5 years, A1C 13 to 18.2, very, very high, 6.5 years, taking metformin twice a day, plus glucophage twice a day, plus insulin once a day, and the blood sugar stayed at 400 to 600, and the A1C stayed 13 to 18 for 6.5 years. When she learned the true seed of her diabetes was the thought of lack of sweetness, the thought of lack of sweetness, of being slavery ancestor, the thought. You're going to hear testimony. He took something called a Vincent vibration water and addressed the thought, the seed of her diabetes. Overnight, her blood sugar went down to 89 without medication, overnight, off of all medications. We have some seed nutrition that we use that people are getting rid of diabetes in 2 weeks. So please join us, follow us, and learn how to change your life.
No, that's not Christian-like. Well, it's energy. So we need to kind of put judgment aside and know that every one of us has vortexes of frequencies running through, and they happen to call it chakras. But there's 7 of them moving in the body. But I also found out there's 5 of them that moves outside the body. Right up over the top of the head, arm's length up above that, another reach up to another realm of energy that's there and available with everything we need there. And then down below the feet in the ground. That's why it's good to walk on ground, clean ground, no glass and all that stuff, with your feet, because you get the frequencies from the ground into your reflex points on your feet, on the pads of the feet. Every part, this is one of the classes I teach about reflexology. Every nerve ending of all your organs end in the feet, the pads of the feet, and also in the hands. And so this device, we run the frequencies on those 2 areas. You don't have to be a professional. If you are a clinical individual, it's really good to know that you can begin to target some areas. I'm going to show a chart that shows some target areas with running meridians. Meridians are what they call energy transportation system. Energy moves through meridians. Blood moves through the arteries, carrying oxygen and all. If it's clogged up, you don't get stuff. So the oxygen level gets low, brain can kind of slow down. If the heart doesn't get it, it will shut down. And the heart sends everything out. It picks up vibrational frequencies as well as oxygen from the lungs, and then the lungs carry it, so you need iron attached to it so it can carry it. That's what iron is for. It latches on and carries it around. So I teach holistic anatomy so we can understand ourselves. Scripture says, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. And most people misquote that, and they say they perish. No, it doesn't say that. You perish without a vision. You're destroyed without the knowledge. And so he asked, right after that, he says, you know what knowledge I'm talking about? The knowledge of me and everything I've ever created. We don't study it. So I started studying earth science because I had to teach it. I started studying, what happens in the atmosphere because you got to teach it. So when you start studying these things, you start seeing the glory and the magnificent way that the Creator has set everything up, but we've walked away from it because we've been programmed.
And westernized.
Programmed. And so we take a lot of those frequencies away in your subconscious, because you got 2 minds, a conscious mind and a subconscious mind. And we take that away with the frequencies, but at the same token, we move energy so the body can now be stimulated. So what this device, this iTerra device does, the vibrational frequencies there, they're not harmful, they've tested it. As a matter of fact, we found that there's some research from the 20s and maybe beyond where a lot of other countries have been studying this technology and they've been using it. The U.S. chose not to. Okay? And so the terahertz technology is not new. And it really helps to stimulate. It goes through the skin, not harming the skin with the little of the heat that's coming through. And Hippocrates says that heat penetrates like infrared sauna, relaxes the muscles. You go to a sauna, you relax, right? The heat penetrates and takes the lactic acid out of the muscles. You relax. Lactic acid makes you tight, tense. That's what massage does. Moves the lactic acid, right? So the heat does that. So this device helps you to get through the skin 30 centimeters down into the lower level of the skin, hypodermis. You got the dermis, the epidermis, and hypodermis. And then circulation is there. Blood vessels are there. It will begin to get into the bone because the bone has bone marrow, and in the bone marrow are our own adult stem cells. When you can stimulate the stem cells, which is what this does, your body will use, the brain knows through the vagus nerve and other communication with other parts of the body, it will begin to find the areas that needs repair, and those stem cells will go there and begin to grow another healthy cell. It's real simple. You ain't got to do nothing but flow. And so, and we've got lots of information, lots of research. In my studies of energy medicine, Dr. Vincent teaches a lot of remote healing. Okay, those of us who understand spiritual work, Yahshua, Jesus, whatever name you choose, got 48 names, okay? Whatever name fits your belief system, he always talked about sending energy somewhere else, and the people who received it. And one of the centurion soldiers came up to him one time and said, look, I got a soldier, he's dedicated to me, I'm a man of authority, and I heard you a man of authority, and you can speak a word, because our voice has a lot of vibrational frequencies, and so I have another device that can detect that frequency, and it reads the vibrations throughout the body, just like a lie detector. I can say one thing, and my body is saying, So the principle of a lie detector is what I use with a scanner that can detect where you really are through your voice, because voice has a pattern, and the scripture says, what? Life and death is in the power of the what?
Tongue.
Power of the tongue. Because there's a vibration that comes through. So I can decree a thing, good or bad, with my voice, my mouth. And so we learned how to send vibrations through the phone, through what's prayer? If my mother lives in Las Vegas and my sister calls me and say, Mama is down, blah, 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 and I send a prayer, am I in Las Vegas? No, I'm in Chicago. Will a prayer reach Las Vegas? I think so.
Yes.
Okay, I know so.
Energy.
So that's energy.
Energy.
It's a prayer. It's an energy. It's activated by your voice. They call it decreeing a thing. And so he decreed. So the gentleman came to him, the centurion soldier, said, if you just speak the word, I know for sure my servant will be healed. He said, I ain't even got to speak it. Just you saying that, let me know you believe that it's already done. Go on back home. And he went back home, and what happened? The man was healed. Because our perception of something changes, and this is now biological science that's proven. Our perception of something changed the DNA inside the body. So, yes, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. And so, in Bruce Lipton's teachings and some others, Candace Pert, she wrote a book called Molecules of Emotion. Richard Gerber wrote lots of books about all the different individuals over time that brought frequencies to the table, and then they were not looked at because it's like, we don't want people to know about that. They might be healed. So he talked about Royal Rife machine, got rid of cancer. He talked about Nikola Tesla, way ahead of his time, but knew that you could use energy in the air. You don't have to use what we now pay for. They got rid of him. Albert Einstein said a whole lot about the future of medicine is going to be energy. Talked about that. Hippocrates said that when you heat the body will begin to express the new stem cells, and it will search around through your vagus nerve, and I have a whole book on vagus nerve health, coming down the what they call governing meridian in the body, carrying energy, okay? and it will begin to restore gut tissue, which we make a lot of money in this country on digestive products because we got indigestion, we don't eat right, okay? We don't think right, so then you don't think right and your stomach gets all messed up and you try to eat. I'm mad at my, and now I done closed up the arteries of the area where the food is going to go down. It can't get through, so it sits there, and then it ferments, and it starts creating openings. They call it leaky gut.
Leaky gut. So that's what leaky gut is.
That's
Wow.
leaky gut, and
Okay.
it creates a compound. Everything creates a chemical compound. Everything. An apple has over 300 and something compounds. That's why the little statement was, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. When I study the apple, and the components in the apple, not just the pectin and the malic acid, there's some serious compounds in the apple that once it's in your system, it will go to work and do a miraculous thing. And so in this country, just in this country, we're not talking about other countries where they grow fruit and vegetables off trees or off the ground or whatever that has more direct sunlight, less toxins and all that in the air or whatever. There's over 1,000 different varieties of apples.
I have a question for you. I read recently that now the same compound you're talking about, now apple from 20, 50 years ago, does it have the same compound and content today than our relatives ate 20 and 50 years ago?
Okay.
Is it the same?
What happens, first of all, God's mandate to a fruit never changes. But we can distort the ability of it to do right by adding other things to it, spraying it. Mineral deficiency in the ground. So it has less, but it never loses its memory because God said, let there be an apple. And there was an apple. And nothing changes that God produces.
So
nothing.
it's still just as potent now as it was.
But it's
20,
not,
50 years ago.
okay. Because it may have some impurities,
Okay.
and then because we got a bunch of impurities, you're going to get a small portion of that that's good for it. So what we teach is eliminate some of the toxins so that the apple can do its job, even if it's not totally full of the proper components, the photosynthesis in the air, because the clouds are always here. Chemtrails are always in the air. You see what I'm saying? But the mandate in that apple never changes, because God never does.
All right.
And he produced it.
All right.
Okay? So I teach that. So that eat the apple anyway. If you think it's never going to lose all of its benefits. But there's some serious components in an apple. Chemical compound. Everything is a chemical compound. And mostly carbon, because we are carbon beings in our physical body. So when we eat carbohydrates, carbon, oxygen, hydration, water, that's a carbohydrate.
So as opposed to one apple now, we need these 2 or 3. Is that what it
Probably,
is now?
yes.
Okay.
Okay?
Same nutrition.
And then you can take it and steam it and ferment it, and it's going to help heal the gut area.
Okay.
So I do it with my granddaughter. She's quadriplegic, so she doesn't have movement. And then she's, anyway, that's a long story with my daughter, but it's okay. So I give her fermented apples with raisin because of the nutrition, the iron that's in there, and it really helps to move her bowels because she doesn't have movement. What moves your bowels is movement and water. But most of us doing what? Sitting at the TV. Click. Commercial click. What it's about.
Or on the game board.
Okay, yeah, ooh, that's a good one.
Ooh, game board.
So
6, 7 hours a
frequencies
day.
are coming through that, coming through the TV, coming through the computer, coming through the phone. But it's frequencies that distort the proper reaction in the body in order for the body to now give out what it needs in order to stay healthy. So what we have to do is combat that. So diodes, things like that, people use them across, if you know. They use them around the house because it's coming through. 5G, 4G, any kind of G.
Yes, it's coming through.
BD, GG, all the gangsters. I'm just playing. But them too, they stalking your house. Okay? That coming through the house lowers your frequency, lowers your vibration. Okay? So if you already have some underlying conditions and here comes something else, and your immune system is busy trying to handle the other condition that you had, or this condition, and here comes something that's bombarding your immune system's like, what do I do? You didn't give me nothing for it. I need some green sources. I need some, I need to feed my basophil and my neutrophil and all who knows what they are. And they work through your thymus gland, right up over the heart. They work under the knees, all lymphatic area. Well, nobody know nothing about that because nobody's teaching it, particularly in the school system. We're at fault for the health condition of this country, period. And I'm not going to take it back. Because once we train up a child the way it should go, it does not fall far. It might fall a little bit, but it won't fall from it. And you can pick them back up and bring them back to center. Okay? And so we need to teach young people. I heard you talking about young people, and sometimes you got to, da-da-da-da-da. This young lady right here,
Education is key.
she was in my class. I was teaching brain science. She was about to be 18 that summer. They took her out of my class because they told her, by her being 18, they would no longer be able to service her through the system that service children, young people that are in DCFS care or whatever you want to call it, okay, juvenile, whatever it is. She knew that if she was left alone, that she would possibly be convinced to go back to the stuff that she was dealing with in the street. And she came to us for some help. And they said, well, you'll be 18. And so, sorry, we're done. Figure it out. You know what she did? She went home and hung herself. So I do this because of somebody like this. Beautiful black sister that didn't get any help. So I teach how to help yourself and change the aspects of our perception. So one thing I learned is that cells have voltage. Healing is voltage. 1.4 is 1.4 volts in your cells when it's healthy. Most cells are below that, so they're not healthy. When you can raise the voltage, it will begin to stimulate. You got 50 trillion to 100 trillion. You talking about 1.4 volts times 50 trillion, you got 700 volts of frequencies in your body. Guess what? I'm energetic. I can think clearly. I can move. I can hear clearly from the Creator in me.
So now you're starting to heal yourself.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Self-care is mandatory at this time. But we got to raise our voltage. Healing is voltage. It's been proven and documented by several, Dr. Jerry Tennant, all these guys. Back in the day, the information was sit to the side. So now it's coming to the surface, and I am a researcher and a study of truth. Tell me the truth. Don't give me no sidebar, no, okay? And when I stand on that, it works for me. And when I teach it to others, it works. So I work with young people. We created a program called re-engagement. To re-engage them into the learning process, but re-engage them into knowing who they are. Okay? So what I found out is that with that voltage, if it's low, you can be succumbed to toxins, trauma. In fact, the CDC and the AMA states, in fact, now the numbers have changed. It was what the AMA said, 85% of all, they say this, all diseases is emotional stress. CDC, 80% all diseases is because of trauma. So I'm a trauma specialist, certified. I'm a suicide prevention specialist, certified, to take people away from bad thinking because it's everywhere. It's coming through the phone, coming through the this, coming through the that. And so when we run these frequencies, it shifts the frequency. All of a sudden you get a new thought. We studied new thought. It ain't no new thought. It's just a thought that came through.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? Nothing is new under the sun. And there's several suns. Okay.
Hi, my name is Dr. Michael Vincent. I'm here to discuss the true epidemic in the black church, which is diabetes and obesity. What I'm finding in my practice, the patients I'm seeing with diabetes is loss of eyesight, blindness, loss of limb, a leg or foot, amputation, erectile dysfunction, hypertension, kidney failure, heart attack and stroke. And diabetes has a friend. It's called obesity and a cousin called hypertension. This is the true epidemic in the black church. I teach my students the sickest place on Sunday at 12 noon is the black church. The diabetes, the hypertension, the obesity. I'm here to bring to you some good news. We got something called seed nutrition. Seed nutrition. Go back to the seed. I teach a course called Fatherly Systems, something I created. It talks about that the seed of disease, the seed of diabetes, is lack of sweetness ancestrally. That diabetes is 87% thought and 13% nutrition. You will learn as you watch us, people who are diabetic for 6.5 years, taking blood sugar 400 to 600, 6.5 years, A1C 13 to 18.2, very, very high, 6.5 years, taking metformin twice a day, plus glucophage twice a day, plus insulin once a day, and the blood sugar stayed at 400 to 600, and the A1C stayed 13 to 18 for 6.5 years. When she learned the true seed of her diabetes was the thought of lack of sweetness, the thought of lack of sweetness, of being slavery, and just the thought. You're going to hear testimony. He took something called a Vincent vibration water and addressed the thought, the seed of her diabetes. Overnight, her blood sugar went down to 89 without medication, overnight, off of all medications. We have some seed nutrition that we used that people are getting rid of diabetes in 2 weeks. So please join us, follow us, and learn how to change your life.
And we should be. Our Creator designed an amazing, complex system intended to allow our body to heal itself if we give it what it needs. For example, if you cut your finger, it bleeds, a scab forms, and it heals. However, when our body does not receive what it needs, it begins to talk to us. It talks to us through symptoms or physical manifestations of disease. So, if your body is talking to you, you need to listen to Dr. Michael Vincent. Start your wellness journey today. Visit Dr. Vincent's website at www.vincentclinic.com or dial toll-free 888-842-3935 or 888-84-BEWELL. Be well.
Yes. And so we want to now talk about one of the devices that we have our hands on. Dr. Vincent does a lot with tapping, so do I. You're familiar with it. We know how to do remote healing and all of those things. And we teach the aspects of our bodies, our hands, and all the things that generate energy. But we got our hands on a device. I have several different devices, a beamer and different other things that opens microcirculation. But I found this to be so simple and cost effective because a beamer, we have a beamer, it's $6,000. The average home cannot afford $6,000. But this is affordable if you feel that your health is worth a few $100s, okay? And so terahertz frequency, you can look it up. It's sort of like you have the microwave frequency, 5G on one end, real dark energy, really causing a lot of havoc. And then you have another energy that you have to be very mindful of, like ultraviolet waves. You got to know that a certain time of day you can't be in that energy because it can cause some problems. But then there's another part of the day where you can absorb it. There's certain places around the world where you can absorb it, and it's giving you the vitamin D through the skin, and it's creating that heat that I talked about, okay? But then the terahertz is running a frequency that is sort of like neutral, but yet effective, and it's what they call non-ionizing. It's not creating a negative ion or whatever to distort or help your body to draw free radicals closer to the cells and robbing the cells of electrons. The cells have electrons, protons, and neutrons. So what we found out is that when the electron is being robbed, then the cell is now unprotected and anything can come in. Subtle energy field that's around every cell and around you as a human being because you are 50 trillion different cells. with low voltage or high voltage. When the voltage is high, it's like an invisible shield. Boom, boom, boom. If there's holes, Barbara Brennan, she was a researcher for NASA. She worked as a scientist to know what to do to send men or women up into outer space and how to bring them back. Because you got to know how to come back. But she also knows that once you reach a certain plateau, the particles will separate. And so how do you keep them clustered so that you don't you just don't break up and you just in space? Now you're just particles, which you came from. Okay? That's in Genesis 2 and 7. So this helps to get you that in the middle where now you can keep those frequencies and keep your bodies from robbing anything to come in and rob the electrons away from your cells, which makes them unhealthy. So when you run this frequency, the terahertz frequency is in that middle zone that stimulates the stem cells and then also protects the subtle energy field around the body so that other things cannot come in that can be harmful to rob you of your neutrons or your electrons, I'm saying. Okay, so what we found out is that the body, once the voltage is low, what causes dis-ease is toxins. The other was trauma. If I fell off the porch in my house, trauma, ligaments all messed up. And emotional trauma, because emotional trauma could cause you to have a physical modality. Okay?
Years.
Toxins, we are surrounded by it, but you have to start being selected. And then perception or thought. They found that your thinking, your cells in the nucleus, they thought the nucleus just manufactured genes, and the genes control the cells, and then based on your genetic code from your grandmama and them, great-great-grandma and them, well, I had, my mama and them has, no.
Right.
The genes do not control the cell. Frequencies control the cells, perception and thinking. So the thinking can change the DNA, and in the nucleus, that which reproduces the protein, we don't have in this country, we might have about 4 to 5% protein deficiency through birth defects. Other than that, everybody has protein body. What's missing is the signal. So this gives you a signal. The signal also comes from your thinking. So it could be bad thinking or good thinking. It will change the gonad. The nucleus is not the reproduction of cells, of genes. Genes are a blueprint of that which was originally put in you. So I go with the blueprint of the Creator and what He put in me. I'm going back to that because your body has a perfect recall to that. Nothing God does dissipates, doesn't change. What changes is us. So the nucleus makes and reproduces another, a gonad which can produce inside the cell another part. Organs, and in those organs are cells. The cells have organelles. Organelles are many organs. So in the nucleus, there is a memory of that blueprint of what that cell is supposed to do, because you have a cluster. So I got muscle cell, I got so-and-so, and it knows what it's supposed to do in this area, okay? Well, if the signal's off, it don't know what to do, it's not going to reproduce because the nucleus reproduces. It's a gonad. It's not a gene control. It doesn't control the cells. What controls the cell is your thinking.
All right.
So this helps to raise the frequency so your consciousness raises. Your subconsciousness now can be erased of all the toxins as well as the trauma from bad thinking and programming and also injuries. We have the best trauma centers in the world, but we have the worst chronic care system in the world. It is not meant to teach you how to be healthy. It is meant to mend the arm, do surgery when it's, you've had an injury, now you let stuff go so bad till it's either do or die. That's what it's for, not for health care. So we teach in self-care using frequencies, okay? And that's what happens. So now that you know the nature of a cell, you know how to get the cell what it needs, and it will do its job because it knows and has a perfect recall of that which the Creator put in it. It's so powerful. It's so powerful. And so this is simplistic. The average individual could just blow. So we're going to show how we use it on you, sir. Right. And we're going to run it down your meridians in the back because you got the cervical, you got the thoracic, That's 1 through 12. You got the lumbar, 1 through 5, and it's going to run down, and peripherally, it will change everything this way in the path where the parasympathetic and sympathetic can now receive, and you'll relax parasympathetic. And then you won't be always in sympathetic, which is creating too much cortisol, and you're running stress all day. Because what did the American Medical Association say? All diseases are stress. 85, now 87% stress related.
87.
Reduce the stress.
The other 13% is lifestyle, diet, and environment.
Yes.
It's the great thing about being a student of yours is that that's what I've learned.
Yes. It's not
87%
that hard. It's just
emotion.
discipline. Discipline. And so we create enough energy where you are receptive to the discipline. Well, you know what? Maybe I will go on and start eating more apples. Or maybe I will take a lemon and squeeze it in my water as opposed to drinking sugar-based colored stuff to give us a trick. So you got all these sugar-laden juices and stuff on the market, and we giving them to our young people, and they going bonko crazy because they got a sugar addiction. The largest addiction in this country is sugar. Not crack cocaine, not cocaine, not weed, not none of that. And I can do a whole thing on that, on weed. Sugar. And so it opens the door for the other stuff. So that's a whole seminar by itself. We're going to be doing seminars here. This is Dusty's. This is a soul food restaurant in the south suburban area of the Chicagoland area. And we're going to be doing training people how to use this device, how to understand their physical body, how to understand their subtle energy field, and how to imprint frequencies in that field so that invisible part of you can now be armed up, and then stuff can come to you. The scripture says that, Psalm 91. 1,000 can fall on this side and 10,000 on this side, but nothing will come nigh me. Why? Because you have a strong energy field, armed up using frequencies. So we're going to segue into seeing the demonstration using this TerraCare device. And we just thank you for your time.
Everyone wants to be healthy, and we should be. Our Creator designed an amazing, complex system intended to allow our body to heal itself if we give it what it needs. For example, if you cut your finger, it bleeds, a scab forms, and it heals. However, when our body does not receive what it needs, it begins to talk to us. It talks to us through symptoms or physical manifestations of disease. So, if your body is talking to you, you need to listen to Dr. Michael Vincent. Start your wellness journey today. Visit Dr. Vincent's website at www.vincentclinic.com or dial toll-free 888-842-3935 or 888-84-BEWELL. Be well.
Hi, my name is Dr. Michael Vincent. I'm here to discuss the true epidemic in the black church, which is diabetes and obesity. What I'm finding in my practice, the patients I'm seeing with diabetes is loss of eyesight, blindness, loss of limb, a leg or foot, amputation, erectile dysfunction, hypertension, kidney failure, heart attack and stroke. And diabetes has a friend. It's called obesity and a cousin called hypertension. This is the true epidemic in the black church. I teach my students the sickest place on Sunday at 12 noon is the black church. The diabetes, the hypertension, the obesity. I'm here to bring to you some good news. We got something called seed nutrition. Seed nutrition. Go back to the seed. I teach a course called Therapy Systems, something I created. It talks about that the seed of disease, the seed of diabetes is lack of sweetness ancestrally. That diabetes is 87% thought and 13% nutrition. You will learn as you watch us, people who are diabetic for 6.5 years, taking blood sugar 400 to 600, 6.5 years, A1C 13 to 18.2, very, very high, 6.5 years. Taking metformin twice a day, plus glucophage twice a day, plus insulin once a day. And the blood sugar stayed at 400 to 600, and the A1C stayed 13 to 18 for 6.5 years. When she learned the true seed of her diabetes was the thought of lack of sweetness, the thought of lack of sweetness, of being slavery ancestor, the thought. You're gonna hear testimony. He took something called a Benson vibration water and addressed the thought, the seed of her diabetes. Overnight, her blood sugar went down to 89 without medication, overnight, off of all medications. We have some seed nutrition that we use that people are getting rid of diabetes in 2 weeks. So please join us, follow us, and learn how to change your life.
So what we're doing now is actually showing how simple it is to use this Care frequency device. We lovingly call it a blower because it looks like a blow dryer and it performs like a blow dryer. But what it's doing is penetrating the skin down 30 centimeters, and in the bone marrow where your stem cells are, it stimulates that activity. Stem cells are produced, moved into your bloodstream, and that's why you have to drink the water before and after. The water allows the frequencies to remain in the body active for over 3 hours. So we make sure you're hydrated. You got to be hydrated, and so that you can move these frequencies. So I'm going to turn it on, and I'm basically just running it down what we call meridian points down the back. This is the governor meridian. This is your cervical area, brain stem, from C1 to C7, and then your thorax, T1 to T12, and then your lumbar 1 through 5, and then down in here. So joint discomforts and things like that, we have actually a treatment sheet, and then we'll take a picture of it, where I can do the joints and get the acid built up there, knees and whatever, and people begin to see it. Microcirculation happens, eliminates negative cells. It actually stimulates dormant or inert cells, make them active. It helps to move the toxins out of the bloodstream. I mean, it does so many wonderful things, but those are the main things that people should be concerned about, because our circulations is generally bad. We've got, we don't eat right. We got seed nutrition that we offer, where we are using an omega, it's called SOL actually, but it's an omega fatty acid that has the unadulterated seed in it, and it's getting into the body. And when we run these frequencies, it moves much faster and has a different recovery rate, faster recovery rate. So we've got several things in that order. And then we teach you how to hydrate, exercise, breathe, meditate, and then eat the proper foods and use the frequencies. Okay, so I'm going to turn this on. So I'm running it down the meridian to the back. Real easy. Anybody can do this. You don't have to be a professional healthcare professional. It's like a lady blowing her hair dry. So it's stimulating those bones and allowing the stem cells to come forth out of the bone marrow. So I'm running it down the central nervous system. Peripherally, all your other parts of the body is being affected. Then I'll go down the side. Up. And that heat is what's getting into the skin, going down to the hypodermis, and stimulating the bones to release those new stem cells. I saw the product early 90s that people were desperate to get stem cells when they had cancer. It was 30-day supply for $1,000, and people were buying it because they were desperate. It will stimulate your own stem cells. You don't have to use a duck stem cells. You don't have to use any other animal or poultry to get stem cells. You have your own. You just have to stimulate it. And that's what this does.
all the joints, taking out the lactic acid, lymph nodes, lower back pain. We can eliminate that. Then if we do some tapping, well, I'm telling the brain, okay, pay attention. You're doing something, pay attention. And as the person is breathing, the brain now is registering this information. Shoulders, a lot of people have frozen shoulders. You can stimulate that. I had a lady who had damaged connective tissue in one of her shoulders. Her arm could not go up. She would have to push the lower underbed in order to breathe her hygiene. And I did it just for maybe about 5 minutes on my shoulder. And she did it. And then I because it'll loosen up that trapped connective tissue. Connective tissue fibers. This is why a salamander can produce anything you cut or amputate from a salamander. The salamander is a reptile. It's like a frog, but it's long. It looks like a baby alligator. It has the same human structure as it has the same anatomical structure as a human. Same amount of bones, same amount of muscles, same amount of nerves. And what happens if I was to cut the salamander right here? Fibrous tissue would grow here. We call it fascia. The fascia would grow new nerve cells right there. And then the nerve cells have the memory, and the salamander, the memory there will grow another tail, another leg, another leg. So why would the Creator allow a reptile to be able to create new parts, and we don't? We don't know the information, and we don't stimulate the body enough with the heat and working with our fiber tissue, which is the second nervous system, and stimulate it to the point where we can produce, because the nucleus is a protein and not what we call was the DNA. The DNA changes with the chromosomes to your thinking. Biology of belief, three shifts. Your thinking will change your biology, your perception. And you can grow back. But because you don't believe it, it don't happen. When we change our perception and we use the necessary tools, things will change. All of the reflex points of every organ in your body is in the pad of the hand and in the feet. Knees. So you're a dancer.
I'm a dancer, so you know I need the
So you need, right, you need
lower
all
back, knees,
yep.
ankles.
Ankles and feet. You blow this, you'll be dancing like nobody's business. They'll be like, what's that brother over there? That's that monkey boy. That boy can get it.
Come on now.
Carpal tunnel, all that acid and all that stuff coming from the computer. We unlock that. Cataract. Close your eyes. The person has an eye condition. We use the softer frequency and just go in a counterclockwise way around the eye, around here, up under the chest. And people have gotten rid of, the body was able to use the frequencies and the feed nutrition and the perception and get rid of, the body got rid of the cataract. We don't get rid of nothing. The body does. So do the eyes. We have a couple of testimonies on YouTube where the gentleman had wrinkles on one side, the crow's feet, and he did one side of his face and didn't do the other, and on the side that he did, baby butt smooth. And the other side still had some crow's feet. So women, men, you want to look younger, change the DNA, use this as a beauty device. Start looking 20 years younger because you change your biological structure of your body. It's simple science. It's not nothing woo-woo. It's just science. So do your lower back again. because we use this a lot when you're dancing, joints from your hip.
Oh yeah, that's perfect.
And like the feet, the heel, and the ankles have to do with prostate, ovaries, testes, all of the research. And then right here in the center, is the one that for men who have issues with prostate, and they'll notice that they'll have a better urinary flow. Right here.
That's practical. You stay there for 30 minutes.
Yes, sir. And you can have your clothes on, you can penetrate to the clothes. You don't have to be on your medical table, none of that. Right in your house, on the couch, on the chair, in the bed.
You're saying it's just as simple for the natural person.
Yes. A device for the home for self-care. Clinically, we have another pro device if the person wants to do that, but even if you didn't use this, you would get good results with your permission of any kind. You can help your client. The cervical bone does a whole lot for brain activity and then also orchestrating things for the rest of the body. So you like to clear that, and then maybe to do the chiropractic adjustment. Now that nerve energy can flow properly, and the brain and vagus nerve is going to be able to get what it needs to communicate with the liver again, and boom, stuff starts happening. What happens? I don't know. It depends on what your body is going through. That's why we don't use it as a way to say we're curing, we're treating, we're diagnosing. We're not that. We're not doing it. We're saying stimulate the body's ability to heal itself. We are self-healers. We know what to do. And we have a tool. Huh?
You just say the rebalancing the body's energy system.
Yep. That's what we're doing. All right. So this is our iTerra Care. Again, we'll be doing meetings here. People can call. They can call Dr. Vincent. He does trainings over the phone, virtual. I'm going to be doing virtual as well as live. And so everybody should know what's available so that we can begin to see a lot of these illnesses and sicknesses, including what's going on across the world with this pandemic, be changed. All things are possible through Christ. And he always has a ram in the bush. Always. And I believe that, and I stand on it, and it works. So that's our demonstration of our iTerra Care frequency device.
Well, thank you, Dr. Sim.
You're welcome. I'll be glad to blow you again. So this is what we do, and this is what we're going to begin to continue to do, and just make people aware of what's available. There's a lot of information, testimonies, I would say, on YouTube, and it's iTerra Care frequency device, and people can see that, so we're not inventing something. It's already been available. We just didn't know about it. So the U.S. is kind of new to this, these things. So this is what we're doing. I'm Dr. SUNI, and I appreciate the time to share and care with iTerra Care.
Hi, my name is Dr. Michael Vincent. I'm here to discuss the true epidemic in the black church, which is diabetes and obesity. What I'm finding in my practice, the patients I'm seeing with diabetes is loss of eyesight, blindness, loss of limb, a leg or foot, amputation, erectile dysfunction, hypertension, kidney failure, heart attack and stroke. And diabetes has a friend. It's called obesity and a cousin called hypertension. This is the true epidemic in the black church. I teach my students the sickest place on Sunday at 12 noon is the black church. The diabetes, the hypertension, the obesity. I'm here to bring to you some good news. We got something called seed nutrition. Seed nutrition. Go back to the seed. I teach a course called Therapy Systems, something I created. It talks about that the seed of disease, the seed of diabetes is lack of sweetness ancestrally. That diabetes is 87% thought and 13% nutrition. You will learn as you watch us, people who are diabetic for 6.5 years, taking blood sugar 400 to 600, 6.5 years, A1C 13 to 18.2, very, very high, 6.5 years, taking metformin twice a day, plus glucophage twice a day, plus insulin once a day, and the blood sugar stayed at 400 to 600, and the A1C stayed 13 to 18 for 6.5 years. When she learned the true seed of her diabetes was the thought of lack of sweetness, the thought of lack of sweetness, of being slavery ancestor, the thought. You're going to hear testimony. He took something called a Vincent vibration water and addressed the thought, the seed of her diabetes. Overnight, her blood sugar went down to 89 without medication, overnight, off of all medications. We have some seed nutrition that we used that people are getting rid of diabetes in 2 weeks. So please join us, follow us, and learn how to change your life.